your kids like run all over you. But I can't thank you guys enough for coming to this session. I'm really, really excited, and I'll share a little bit about myself in a second, but wanted to, in the chat throughout, I would love for you guys to just start thinking a little bit about your personal brand. A lot of us, you guys all sound like you have such amazing businesses, but also so much clarity around what you guys do, who you serve, and how you serve them. So like, I am very, very impressed by just how everybody presented themselves on the call, but I would love to know a little bit about where you are on your personal brand journey. And if it's something that you guys have thought about, prioritized, something that maybe you're thinking about now and starting to focus on. But I'm excited to hear where you guys are. So today we're going to dive into how I've built my business through personal branding and how that's benefited me throughout my career and my journey. I'm going to share my screen. So really we're going to dive into my story, how I got here. But the most important thing is that you feel very confident and capable leaving this training. I want you to feel confident in who you are as a business owner, but also as just a living, breathing human, and capable of doing all of the things that you want to do, whether it is building your personal brand, which, spoiler alert, you already have one, or it's scaling your business, or maybe having a tough conversation, whatever that is. I want us to really gain clarity around that and have you leaving, again, like I said, feeling confident and capable. So a little bit about who I am. I am a mom to a now 7-year-old boy. He is my purpose to everything that I do. It's really fueled through, the motivation that I get from him. I'm an immigrant. I came here from Egypt with my parents. I'm an only child, and we were in and out of family homes for as long as I could remember, and homeless for about 5 years out of that childhood. I really struggled with my confidence and started to feel this just doubt in myself and ability. And that lack of confidence really stuck with me throughout, adulthood. And I ended up finding myself married, divorced, and a single mom at the age of 23. And that was really my aha moment. And I always used to joke when I was younger of like, oh, I need to learn the hard way. And let me tell you, I learned the hard way. And there was nothing that, lit a fire under my ass. And I hope we can swear here. I not too bad, but I get a little spicy throughout, but that really shifted everything. And at the time I had already graduated from Johnson & Wales University here in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Providence, Rhode Island. And I graduated with a marketing degree and minored in fashion. After moving to New York and having my son, I moved back home and decided to take a year off of work. During this time, I was sharing every single thing you could possibly think of on social. I used social as my diary. It was as if nobody was on the other side. And I shared my struggles. I shared my struggles with my health. I was doing fitness competitions during that time. So I was journaling and documenting waking up, my diet, you name it. And then I landed a job at Yahoo, and I worked there at Yahoo News, and Tumblr, building digital media campaigns for Fortune 500 brands, really helping them clarify their messaging around whatever it is that they were looking to promote. Again, I was sharing that on social, like highlighting everything. Then in December of 2019, Yahoo News lost its funding and I got laid off. And I found myself in a really privileged position. And throughout the 4 years that I was there, I noticed that a lot of really, really successful people were in and out of this role, in and out of Yahoo and getting laid off. And the one thing that was really constant and was eye-opening to me was that a lot of them kept saying things like, well, I don't know what to do outside of this job. This is my life. This is who I am. And so when I went out on my own in 2019, I realized that I was actually really privileged to have the opportunity to go out on my own, because I had built my personal brand throughout the years unintentionally. people already knew me for something. I just now decided that it was time for me to control the narrative and cultivate the community that I wanted. And so that's where Empowered Confidence came to life. I really wanted to build a company that helped women specifically build their confidence and figure out what they want to do with that confidence. Making sure that they are building their personal brand. We help entrepreneurs. So we have a business course that helps entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs scale, grow their business, do whatever it is that they need to do from a business perspective. And we're soon to be launching our personal brand power program, which is all about building your personal brand so that you can work with the brand, speak on stages, scale your business, use that as a funnel to do whatever it is, climb the ladder, all the things. And that has been a very, very, very fun 3 years now. And so now we've become a leader in the personal branding space. And really this started because I was so tired of seeing so many women really give up on their dreams. And they felt really overwhelmed by the noise that was out there. And when I first started, I realized entrepreneurs were all doing it the same exact way. They were going into it, starting their business because they had this great idea and they were going to sell, right? And so I like to use this example of just imagine this. There's a Karen, okay? It's the name that my son Sebastian decided to pick for this woman. But so there is a Karen and her main intention is to sell. She doesn't have community. Her customers don't really know who they are buying from. And the business is starting to feel that. It's starting to struggle to evolve and add more revenue streams. And she's kind of at capacity. There is on the other side, a Marina who literally cannot stop talking about her story. And she's building her community and people are buying from her. They know the power that she knows the power that community building has, and she has built trust and authority and loyalty. And because of this, there is this abundance of income and opportunities that are coming. And so when you change your focus of having a clear strategy, not feeling overwhelmed, not doing what Karen is doing, but overall being so genuinely happy with the work that you are putting out there, people will see that. And so throughout the years, and I realized this as my time at Yahoo as well, all businesses and concepts and campaigns started the same exact way. And it was so completely wrong. Everybody always starts with the product and the service, right? Like I have a product, I have a service, and I'm going to sell. Then I'm going to market the crap out of it. So I'm going to spend thousands of dollars just shoving my products and my ads in front of you and just like posting on social and creating all the content and doing the emails and showing up. The problem is that people are still not connecting with you and you're not building advocacy. So what you end up forgetting is the brand. The brand is not consistent. One day you're using one font, another day you're using a different mission statement, another time you're using different, a website that you're changing every hour. If that used to be my thing, like when I felt like I was stuck at work or at my business, I would just like update my website. I was like, oh, it's time for an update, a website refresh, and I realized that was actually like my safety blanket of just not doing the hard stuff that I needed to do. And then the second thing that people really forget about is the founder hasn't built that trust or loyalty, or even shown up as just an authority figure that is welcoming. And so what that happens is that even though you have the structure to have a successful business, people are not bought in from you. And you guys know this, and I'm sure you've heard this so many times. People buy from people. At the end of the day, whether it's you, your employees, your freelancers, people have to have some sort of emotional connection with another human. Just to even give it to you in a different example, for campaigns, digital campaigns, you will see whether they're advertisements on TV or on Instagram, there will be a human in that picture. It might not be the founder of the company, but there has to be a human in that picture to make that connection, especially eye connection with the other person, the consumer that is looking. So where does this all come into play? Your personal brand is the most important aspect of, and truly the only marketing tool that you need when it comes to opening up opportunities for yourself. And so I took all of that and I've created this method that now has helped hundreds of our students generate over $1 million in revenue, which is so wild to think that it was just this simple shift, which we're going to work through now. The first step is that we're going to focus on the founder phase. Every single one of you guys are a founder, whether you are a actual founder of your business or your employee at this. I always like to identify as the founder and thinking of like a founder. So becoming the most grounded, organized, well-known founder and leader you can possibly be. And we're going to dive into that today. The second thing is the most important thing that you can do is build the most consistent and clear brand to the point where people are so loyal and like cult-like to you and your brand. Your brand is what people are going to think of when you're not around. They're going to funnel other people into it. And when I'm saying consistent, I mean repeat the same messaging over and over and over again. And that is why a lot of entrepreneurs struggle, because it can get so boring to just say the same thing that you do over and over again. But that is how people remember you. The third thing is your business. How does it all funnel into your business? And how are you providing value and serving? You're no longer just selling. You sell every day, whether you know it or not. You're always selling. But really shifting that perspective to talk about the value and how you're showing up, so that way you can generate the most impact and return income. And then the last thing to focus on is marketing. And that is getting in front of as many of your people as possible, not as many people as possible. And I hope that you caught that. It is your specific target audience that you want to get in front of, because there is someone out there that is looking for your service. Even if you are, one of a million service providers out there, there is something unique about you, and that is your personal brand. So today, just for the sake of time, we're going to go through these 4 phases. That's our empowered confidence umbrella phase. Those are our pillars, and we're going to dive into each one of them, but you're going to get some homework for a handful of them. I don't know if I should have been a teacher beforehand, but I love homework. Like, it just gets me so excited. And so I will be giving you guys homework, and I would love, love, love to see how you guys put this together. So the first thing is that we're going to dive into is the founder phase. This is no matter how long you've been in business, I want you to create this new identity for yourself when it comes to how you want to show up. The founder phase is your foundation. It is who you are. And so with that, we usually dive into your story, your mindset, and your skill tool set, your success toolkit, sorry. And so today we're going to dive into your story. And so for your homework, you are going to write, and you can take a screenshot of this. You're going to write your new founder bio. How many of you guys, drop it in the chat? I actually want the chat pulled up. How many of you guys have created a founder bio, a bio about who you are? You can even just like raise your hand if you have. Founder of who you are. Perfect. Do you guys raise your hand if you feel like this bio really covers everything from who you are, how you got here, who you serve, and how you serve them? Does that cover everything? Or do you feel like it's missing? Okay, we got some head nods. Yes, covers. Cool. Okay, so what I would like you guys to do is to challenge yourself a little bit. The first thing that I want you to do is start writing about yourself. I want you to do a brain dump, preferably paper and pen, not on a computer. So really highlighting where you started. I love this because a lot of my clients are like, well, I don't really know like where to begin. girl, begin wherever you want to begin. You want to begin in high school, you want to begin in elementary school. I like to begin from like literally when I was born and in Egypt. And I don't know like how I progress from there to now, but I get there. And it's the most amazing thing. Yes and no. And we'll talk about that in 1 second, Deb. Yeah. So that's actually a good question. And so right now, all I'm focusing on is you as the human. And so I want you to write who you are, what you've experienced in life, maybe how you grew up, things that you loved, things that made you happy, maybe some pivotal moments that you've experienced, times maybe that you felt courageous. And most importantly, I want to know in this brain dump, what problem have you experienced in your life that was your aha moment to find a solution or to create a solution to create the company that you have now? There has to be a reason that you're doing what you're doing now, rather than just making money, right? So starting with writing yourself, extracting the things that stick out to you. So things that stand out for me is obviously when I had my son, Sebastian, college life, moving here from Egypt, my career at Yahoo, all of those things are pivotal moments. I want you to think about what you're good at, what makes you really excited. What are some happy moments? I want you to share a little bit about who you are and less about what you do. The reason being is you guys all unmuted. And like I said, I was so impressed by how you just like word vomited perfectly what you guys do, the name of your company, who you serve, and how you serve them. That is so surface level. I don't know anything else about you guys. And obviously, it's one sentence. How the hell am I supposed to know anything else? Right? But the point is that I can't connect with you if you are just surface level. And so by creating a founder story, what tends to happen is that we end up relating to other people outside of just like our ideal client. And so this builds our personal brand on a larger scale. It disconnects us from the about section on our website, right? And so how I like to think about it, and to answer your question, is you have a founder story. That is who you are as a founder. It starts with, it's like a hamburger. First sentence, it talks about your name, who you are, what you do. If nobody ever read anything else on your website, they at least know that one sentence about who you are. The second part of that burger, right, that sandwich, is your story, how you got here. And I'll share mine in a second, but how you got here. What did you experience that got you here? That is going to be that middle part. And the last part is going to be what you do now. So you speak on stages, you help X amount of people, you have this company, that is like the credibility part. The most important part really is that meat of the sandwich, like how you got here and what your story is. So I would love to see some of your founder stories. And I'm going to actually share a little bit of what mine looks like to give you guys an example from a sandwich perspective. And you can definitely feel free to drop in some questions in the chat if you guys ever have any more questions or like clarity, or we can always pause and stop. So I'm going to share my screen, different screen. So if nobody read anything else besides this sentence, they know the most important things. I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, and my sole purpose is to help women build their personal brand. It's like, oh, cool. All right. Then it's the story. Well, guess what? As a creative outlet in 2013, I actually started sharing my story and connecting with others while building my personal brand. I did that through content creation and social media. Because of this and because of my vulnerability, I realized that there was a ripple effect with women wanting to share their story and building their personal brand. So I'm like, oh, hell yes. I noticed that there's an opportunity for me to build a business, and I built Empowered Confidence. And now this is what we do. Oh, by the way, I'm actually an expert in this because I went to school for this and I've been published in X, Y, and Z, and I've spoken on all the stages you could possibly think of. Here you go. Most of us start with this. Most of us want to share the wins that we have. And so how I want you to think about this is, if nobody read anything else, is there one sentence that can clarify exactly who you are? What is the problem? What did you experience that led you here? The end. Oh, and P.S., I'm an authoritative figure. This is the credibility part. Cool? Any questions so far before we move on? Let me just make sure I have.
I love that you shared that, because that just like is such a perfect example and how to read through it. So
yeah. And it really will connect you with so many more people. And so I really want you to start with your brain dump, because I promise you there's probably a handful of things that you've never talked about, part of your story, that it's time to kind of showcase that and bring it into the world so you can build community, because that's going to be way more personable and vulnerable than just being like, hey, this is what we do and this is how I can help you. The end. And so I love that you said it's doable, because that was my question. How do you feel? Do you feel like this is doable? And Ashley says it makes it more doable. So I love that. The second part is going to be your brand elements. I really want us to focus on our brand key elements. The number one goal, okay, of your brand key elements is to make sure that you are resonating with your ideal client. That is the power of your personal brand. It is to have an emotional connection, relatability, trust, authoritative figure, loyalty, and memorable. That is what you want to be. That's how you're going to stand out in your industry. That is the power of being so consistent and repeating yourself over and over and over again. There's two parts of your brand key elements: your messaging, the words that you use, and the visual identity, how you show up. I'm just going to move this chat so I can see everything. The visual identity is going to be all about your logo, your color palettes, your imagery, your photography, typography, all the things. And I'm just trying to get this chat in front. There we go. And so when you're thinking about creating your visual identity, we're going to start with that one first, because we're going to dive into the messaging. When you're thinking about your visual identity, I really want you to think about keeping it simple, timeless, versatile, and memorable. A lot of us actually, when we're creating our personal brand, our business brand, corporate brand, whatever it is, we try to stand out so much. And what tends to happen from a branding perspective is that branding can't evolve and grow with you, with the different revenue streams that you add, with the different products and services and people you want to offer. And so it's really important to keep your branding very simple, timeless, versatile, and memorable. Something that is like very easy to remember. I always love the example of when my son was 2 years old, we'd drive by Target and he'd be like, Target, Target. And it's just because I think a lot of Canadians don't have Target, right? Do you guys have Target? Yeah.
I'm in California.
Oh, California. I don't know. Oh, Christina.
Because Christina connected us and everyone.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so Target specifically is like so memorable, right? It's very simple, very, very easy to remember. Today, we're going to focus on your brand messaging. And what's so important is it is so easy for us to create brand messaging for our business and our company, but not for us, right? Like, I want to know, and let me just read through this chat real quick. I want to know why Joe is the go-to copywriter and business coach for service providers. Like, what about Joe? I'm sure that she can tell me all about the virtual mama and like all the things about the business, but I want to know more about Joe, right? And so with this, I want you to start thinking about why did you build this company specifically? What was the problem that you experienced? And how were you able to solve this? Was there something missing in your experience through your previous life, like work, whatever it is, and what was the solution for that? If you can get really clear on that messaging and have it like word vomit, right? Where you're just like, this is why we do what we do. This is the problem. And here's how we solve it. The more you can repeat that, the better. But this is my favorite part of the activity. So it is so unbelievably important from a brand perspective to own a word in your space. Now, when I was car shopping, I kept asking for safe cars, a safe car. And every single person I would talk to would be like, oh my God, I heard a Volvo was really safe. Volvos are supposed to be really, really safe. And I'd be like, oh, cool. Do you have one? And they're like, no, I just heard it was really safe. I'm like, okay. And I would look online and Volvo's word was safe. They talked a lot about safety. And I realized that automotive companies do this so powerfully where they own a word that's associated with the brand. So when you think of Tesla, innovative, that's the word they own. Honda, reliable, like that is the word they own. Mercedes, luxury. Volvo, safety. BMW, performance. Every single time there is a campaign, there is an ad, there is messaging on their website, you will find one of those words on their website there because they own that in that space. And so I want you to think about, what is the one word you want someone to think of when they think of you? And I want you to think of a list before you actually pick one. And when we're thinking about keywords, it could be a couple words. Like for me, it's personal brand. It used to be confidence. And I realized that's in my business name. So I actually can still own that. What is it that you want someone to know you for, to remember you for? What is that one word? And I want to give you guys a second while you think about this. And I would just be interested to see the words that you guys come up with in the chat, if possible. I love that. Brave. Innovation. Empower. With owning a word, helpful, love it. Passion. Copywriting, love it. With owning a word comes responsibility. The only way that you can have a memorable personal brand is if you keep your brand promise. If your word is helpful, you have to be helpful. If your word is bold, but all of your content is very like muted and using gentle words, gentle style, like that doesn't match your bold approach, right? Thinking about empowering, if your service and offering and community that you're building is not empowering, you are not upholding your brand promise. So it is so important to think about this word and stay true to it in terms of the responsibility that you have and keeping that promise. So for personal branding, like all of my content is surrounding personal branding. I love this. I'm really interested to see what you guys end up landing on as like your go-to word and how you're going to integrate that across all of your platforms. So let's talk about the business aspect of it. When it comes to growing your personal brand, it should very much funnel into your business. That is the power of personal branding. It opens up opportunities for you, whether you want to enroll more clients into your business, whether you want to speak on stage, work with brands, whatever it is that you want to do. And while we go through this, I'd love to know in the chat, when you're thinking about building your personal brand, why do you want to build your personal brand? What is that on the end, the end of that? What's the goal? Why do you want to build your personal brand? So definitely drop that in the chat while I'm reading through this. But when it comes to really funneling people into your business, I want you to become so customer obsessed. But most of us are really good at telling or knowing our demographics, whether it comes for our age or gender, But I want you to actually learn more about your psychographics for your ideal client. What do they want? What are their values? What are their goals? What are their aspirations? The more that you know about their psychographics, less about their demographics, the more that you can speak directly to them. And they're going to then connect with you and be like, oh, that's my person. And that's the power of messaging when it comes to your personal brand. The second thing is really understanding your brand ecosystem. So how does everything speak to one another? How do all of your products speak to one another? And is there a clear funnel from when they find you to that when they work with you to then when they leave you? What does that look like from an experience standpoint? And how can you move your ideal client from just knowing who you are to then advocating the shit out of you, being like, you need to go to Jo because she is the best copywriter ever, right? Like, how do you get them from awareness, seeing that word, knowing who you are, to working with you? What do you have to do in the middle to then make sure that they're advocating for you? And then that's free marketing right there. The third thing is I really, really want you guys to get comfortable with just speaking to one person. So not going on Instagram and being like, hey guys, hey everyone. Because there's just that one person on the other side of that screen. It's so easy. I do it sometimes too. I'll be like, hey guys. And it's like, oh no, sorry, there's one person. So I'll be like, hey, bestie, girlfriend. Oh my God, my fellow mom, I need to talk to you. Okay, entrepreneur over there, I like really, this is for you because I need to vent because I know how you feel and I know you feel me. Like that, I'm talking to that one person. And that makes it so much more relatable. And you just build a connection that you can't do that when you're doing, hey guys, hey everyone out there in the world. Like you don't want to talk to everybody. You want to talk to your people. The fourth thing is really brain dumping all of your ideas. What tends to happen is that we get really stagnant and like bored in our business. And so I want you to start thinking about like why you started this business and all of the ideas that happen and that come up, brain dump them. Why this is really important, I'm not telling you to go execute all of those ideas, but as your personal brand evolves, right? It's really, really important. Wait, I have like ADHD. So every time I see a message come up, I like immediately read it and I like get thrown off. So I'll read it in 1 second. I'm like covering the screen. But it is so important to remember all of the different ideas that we have. And you're going to go through different seasons in your personal brand where you're going to evolve. And what tends to happen because of social media, which is like a gift and a curse, but we actually start losing a little bit of our creative confidence because we just start doing what everybody else is doing in our industry, right? We see someone creating a course, we're like, oh, this is a great way to create content. So perfect season of shifting. So going back to the basics of brain dumping the ideas, not of just like, oh, I want to create this, but like, why do I want to create this? Does it already exist? And how can I make it different? Right? How can I make it more impactful? And there's just so much power in actually brain dumping. Okay, so let's read Jasmine's message. So we don't want to encompass groups in our messaging. Empower purposeful female founders and mission-focused organization to boost. Is this your messaging? This is your messaging. So this is fine if it's on your website, but like I'm talking more personally if you're talking to, especially like digitally, on camera or video, or you're creating any sort of content, rather than saying like, hey guys, to all my female founders, be like, female founder. If you are a female founder, this is for you kind of thing, right? And less about, hey guys, specifically when it comes to just like selling on social. But I love this. Free marketing content. I'd love to see your website too. I think that would be, send me your website, Jasmine. Okay, cool. So brain dumping your ideas and really making sure that you're going back to the basics. And then value driven pricing model. I want you to really price at the perceived value that exists. Okay. This is really important because when you're thinking about your personal brand, you are the human and your time is so valuable. And I want you to really make sure that that is reflecting in all of the services that you're offering from a pricing perspective. And then how much value can you provide? If you can provide all the value for free, do it. The reason why I specifically say this is when it comes to building your business and your personal brand, what tends to happen is that we want to create this like quick lead magnet. And so we put together some like crappy lead magnet and it's so easy for us to create, probably like a PDF real quick of a checklist of something that they need. We put it on our website and then people download it and they're like, oh, well, if I don't find a lot of value out of your free product, I'm not paying you. If you're not giving me free content and free value, I'm not convinced that I can give you my money. I just don't trust you yet. And so it is so important when you're thinking about your value is to share as much value as you possibly can. Like as much free value without the fear of, well, if I say this, then they won't hire me. I use this example all the time. I can literally take Brand Business Accelerator, which is our business course, and give it to you for free. And you would still not get the same result as someone that would go through the program that would have my support, the accountability, the community, the structure, like all of that. There is no such thing as too much value. And then the last thing is there's no way it only costs so much. That is how I want you to think when it comes to providing value. There is no way that it only costs this much. That is what I want your clients to say. When they're working with you, you guys are all entrepreneurs. After their service, they should never come to you and be like, oh, this is too much for me. It should be the opposite of like, there's no way this is only $10,000, right? Because that's how much value you are providing. So because we're really focusing on growing our personal brand that funnels into all of the services that we have and opens up more opportunities, we really want to start thinking about marketing, which, as you know, is our last pillar. So the action of literally promoting yourself, your services, your business, doing market research, that is the definition of marketing. And so I want you to really get clear on who you are speaking to, have a very clear intention on why you're speaking to them, and have a goal on how to measure them. So in the chat, I would love to know what platforms you guys are on right now, what social platforms you guys are on. A lot of us tend to feel really burnt out when it comes to social media. And I want you to remember this saying, and I've been saying this forever. Creating consistent content does not mean creating content consistently. You should be posting and having content that is so fluid and flowing. I used the example of last week. I had strep and a double ear infection. I was out for the count, out. Okay. No voice. I don't even know how it could get worse than that. It was so bad. Luckily, I had a content machine already created. My social content was going out. My podcast episodes were going out. My email marketing was going out. Everything was just flowing. But I wasn't creating content, right? And so this brings me back to creating consistent content does not mean creating content consistently. And that's where a lot of people burn out. And so today for your homework, you're going to create your content strategy. If you already have a content strategy, congratulations. I want you to just like maybe put that on pause and I want you to start fresh because right now we are prioritizing our personal brand. Jasmine, can you just clarify what about posting without engagement a little bit more?
Oh, well, you mentioned that you were out and so you still had things that were posting. So I wondered, does that affect your stats if you're posting, but then not engaging with comments or other profiles while you're out?
Yeah, that's a great call out. So I luckily have a team. And so I have my VA that responds. She actually creates she just writes the best comments ever. And it just feels very personable. And I was out for the count, but I was still liking and engaging in my stories and all of that stuff. I use social media as just a fun outlet. And so I'm never actually ever really off social media, and that works for me. And so definitely still engaging for sure. Probably not engaging as fast as I normally would, but it didn't really change anything. But I do want you guys to forget about the social strategy that you currently have and start from scratch and try to do this method for just a couple weeks and see how it works. So the first thing that I want you to do is create a new content bucket. So this is going to be 5 buckets. The first bucket is going to be your personal brand. This is your personal life, all things who you are. What you do, past, present, and future. This is your story. This is who you are. The second thing is going to be all things business. We're entrepreneurs here. We got to make money. So we're going to talk about our business, testimonials, media, features, new launches that are going out, services that are going out, reminding people how to work with you. Every single week, you should be at least one time a week reminding people how they are going to be able to work with you, how they can hire you, how you can speak on their podcast, you can speak on stages. And then the last 3 is going to be your legacy. What do you want people to know you for? If you are saying you are the go-to fitness instructor or go-to health and wellness expert guru, you should be talking about maybe nutrition is one of your legacy buckets. Movement is another legacy buckets. And mindset is another legacy bucket. All of those are going to funnel into you being the go-to fill in the blank. If you are the go-to copywriter, there should be 3 things that you can, in terms of a bucket, talk about to remind people that you're the go-to copywriter. Maybe when it comes to copywriting, you want to have a whole bucket about AI. Maybe you want to have a whole bucket about SEO, friendly words. Maybe you have a whole bucket about website and what is your website copy? Maybe you have a whole bucket about copywriting for social, email marketing, wherever you want to focus on. What's really cool is because your personal brand is your personal brand, you do not have to niche down when it comes to your personal brand. That's like saying one human needs to just have one interest. That's silly. And so this allows you to elaborate and talk more about different things. I love brain dumping ideas, as many ideas as possible when it comes to creating content. But how I do this, and I don't know if you guys have tried this, but it'll say okay, I want to talk about website copy. So website copy is an idea, right? Rather than writing website copy, how I would write it is, here are the 3 parts. Here are the 3 most important things to put on your website for a conversion. That's a bad example, but that was quick on my feet, so bear with me, right? So creating that first sentence, that hook, and I'm going to show you guys. Does anybody use Notion? Yes. My God, everybody should be on it. Good. Notion is the best thing in the world. And I'm going to show you a template that I'll actually send to you in the chat here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Hold on. I always go off script and cool. So I'm going to send you guys this. So this is your entrepreneur digital headquarter template. So you can sync your Google Calendar on here. You can have your to-do list. I mean, there's so much here for you. You can have your quarterly goals. But when you come into your content strategy, which is going to be on your right, there's already, I think there's like 40, 37 different ideas of content strategies for you. And so this is going to be a combination of things that you want to talk about for your personal life, your business, building your brand, showing the behind the scenes of building your company. It is so powerful to do that. And so I already have the hooks for you there. And then you can update the status, whether it's an idea, progress, published. Purpose is really important, which we're going to talk about in a second, of do I want to have a conversation with someone? Do I want to inspire them? Is this an educational post? The worst thing that you can do is only educate. Like, you got to do more than just educate. And the worst thing you could do is, even worse than that, is just promote and just sell. So really making sure that you have different purposes for all of your content is going to be so powerful when it comes to controlling the narrative around your personal brand and how people remember you. Brand awareness, authoritative figure. Do you want to entertain? Like, I just posted a video of me and Sebastian yesterday. Like, this is not educational. It's just entertainment, just for fun, right? So that's okay, because you want to show all aspects of your life. And then you have your different pillars. You can talk about different asset types. And here you can even look at it and like schedule it out this way. You can organize by pillars. If you've used Notion, you'll know how to do this. If not, I'll send you a video that goes along with it. Okay. Let's do this. Perfect. So we've created our buckets, we have our ideas, and now it's time to pick our intentions, right? What's really cool, and how I said this earlier, like 2 seconds ago, is that it is so powerful for you to make sure that you are changing the intention and the tone of your content. So that way you can have and allow different conversations. And then you rinse and repeat. There are 5 buckets here. So you could take this as you're posting 5 times a week. You can take this and post 7 times a week, 3 times a week, whatever you have the ability to do. It is so important that you're just consistent with whatever that number is. Do not hide behind your business. Do not hide behind your brand. That is the power of building your personal brand, is making sure that people know who you are. You're consistent with your messaging. You're funneling in opportunities. If you want to be the go-to personal brand expert, guess what? You have to quite literally say, I'm the go-to personal brand expert. The more you can say that, I actually challenge all of you guys to use words like go-to, leading, like pioneer, using words like that in your messaging so you can position yourself like that to your ideal client. So in recap, you have 3 things of homework. You have your founder phase, which is your story. I want you guys to write an updated bio for yourselves. Your second part is your brand messaging, making sure that you have a very clear why, problem that exists, and the solution. You can have numerous solutions. And if you haven't used ChatGPT, are people on ChatGPT? GPT? Yes. Making sure that like you can even play around in there and ask, like, give me statistics around this problem that exists. If you can even have a number to the problem that exists, like how many people don't go back to work because they don't have parental leave, right? Or support from their employer. How many people do not convert any clients because their copywriting is so horrendous, right? Like, what is it that exists? What are those numbers? What are those case studies? And how have you created a solution? And what is that one word that you're going to own? And I want you to update that on all of your platforms. And the last thing is updating your social media or marketing strategy to really showcase your new personal brand that you want people to know you for and have it more of a refresh. We can dive into Q&A. We have our personal branding program that is launching next month. We have a wait list going on right now. And if you could just scan the QR code, if you guys do want to join that wait list, whoever's on the wait list will get $500 off. It's a 6 months elite program that goes into building, monetizing, maintaining, and elevating your personal brand. So let's do some Q&A. Let's read what's going on in the chat. Would you apply this principle? Yes. Oh my God. I love this question. So your content buckets, and Joe, just let me clarify. This is about your content buckets, right? Yes. Okay. So your content buckets should be consistent across all platforms. You should not be reinventing the wheel every single time you are posting. So if your content buckets are those content buckets, that should be your blog pillars. Those should be your email marketing pillars. Those should even be the services that you offer, right? Like surrounding those services. Trying to repurpose your content is going to be so powerful. I know, Robin, you have a podcast. So like even that within itself, we use our long form podcast interview or video. I record it like long form video and audio. We then put the long form on YouTube. And even my pillars for that are the same as my pillars for my podcast. So like everything is just consistent. And then we'll take that YouTube, we'll cut it down into reels. We'll take the transcript and put it into a blog post. Like we do it all. Do you recommend implementing personal life to blog post too? Yes. Yes. 100% incorporating your personal life. The most successful businesses actually have a founder email newsletter that they joined. Sophia Amoroso has an amazing one. I think it's called like Founder's Diary or something. And you get like a weekly email from her. And it's just so personal to what she's going through, what she's doing in her life. Oh, I can see you guys now. What she's doing in her life, like what she did on the weekend, like all the things. I don't think that would make the SEO messy at all. I actually think that would just build better relationships with the your audience who's reading all of your content. That's a great question. What other questions do you guys have about this training, maybe personal branding that you've experienced and things you've tried, maybe things that you're stuck on?
I have a question.
Please.
So I have the Like-Minded Collective Instagram, and then I created, like I have my personal one, but I created like a personal brand one, right? Like Inbox Claudio. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to incorporate my personal brand into Like-Minded Collective, or do I just post that on the Inbox Claudio Instagram because that's me, and just really focus on business for Like-Minded Collective?
Yeah. So it is so funny that this is always everyone's like biggest problem of like, do I have a business page? Do I have a personal page? How much personal do I share on my personal page? How much business do I share on my personal page? And like such a valid thing. This is how I love to do it. And it's worked for me for so long. Before I even started any business page, I built my personal page. Like I built my personal brand and I continue to build it. That page is my funnel to everything else. And so on my page, I talk about empowered confidence. I talk about my events. I talk about my personal life. I talk about what my client wins are. I talk about the podcast, right? So I would say like build your personal brand page, like your personal page. Unless you have some sort of like personal thing that you don't want to share, I don't know why you would have two personal brand pages, because your personal brand is like your page is your personal brand. Yeah, on you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have one for like with all my kids stuff and like years and years and years that, and you know, just like stuff that I don't really want to share.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's like private.
Okay.
But then now I have one where like I'm more open to share like day-to-day stuff and just like talking. And so that's why I built it out just as like the founder of Like-Minded Collective, the founder of my candle company, and just kind of, you know, my mission.
Yeah, I love that. So having that as your personal page, that's going to be just your main page. That is actually like what I want you to build. And then you're funneling into the other page. So right now, like I barely post on the Empowered Confidence page, and every day we just gain new followers because that's just our community page, but people are following me and it funnels into them. So in terms of the topics, I do a lot of collaborative posts between the She Did It Anyway podcast page and my page. Doing collaborative posts between your personal brand and your business is going to be so powerful. But really thinking about showing behind the scenes of building your company, behind the scenes of your life, right? Like making sure you're not just operating behind the brand with the intention of just funneling people in is going to be so powerful. But yeah, having those two, I think is great. And then prioritizing your personal brand is going to be really powerful. I pretty much I did create a separate IG for my podcast and my second business. Yeah. if I could do it all over again, I would never create another page. I would just have my own page and just talk about my business, talk about my podcast, talk about everything, my child, everything on that page, because I realized people don't want to follow 4 pages. They just don't. Like I have, 24,000 followers on one page, 400 on the other. People don't want to follow a bunch of pages. And so, to me, even with a team, I'm really only consistent with one single page. Like it's impossible for me to stay consistent without overlapping, right? So what tends to happen is that we post one thing on our page and then we repost it on Facebook and then we repost it on LinkedIn and then we repost it on the other page. And it's like, why am I following you on all these pages if you're going to say the same thing? Right. And so there just is a different strategy behind it with having the different pages. The podcast page that I have is strictly podcasts. Like I don't post anything else besides the podcast there. And so that makes sense. But always please prioritize your personal page. Please, please. No reason to follow them everywhere. Right. It's the same content. And then even like, I saw a lot of you guys saying IG and LinkedIn, like the type of content that is being consumed on LinkedIn is drastically different than Instagram. And so making sure that you are creating content for that reader. And so maybe it's like a longer article on LinkedIn and then taking a part of that and putting it as your caption on Instagram, right? So just making sure that it's different. But that's a great question. What other questions do you guys have? Yeah, please.
I had a quick question. I haven't been able to get off of mute because like my kids are so loud. So please excuse if you hear them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, your presentation was like right on time for me because I've really been in a shifting season, but I love your input about email because up to now, my emails have mostly been like educational content and I do add something personal, but I've really been wanting to kind of shift to be more like mindset and personal. And I just don't want that to, turn people away that could potentially be interested in my offers. So it's just kind of been a struggle for me in like decisively making that shift as far as email copy.
Yeah. Why would you think it would turn someone away?
So the majority of people who joined my list joined because they're interested in learning copywriting. They're mainly like virtual assistants who want to offer it as a service. And I have a mix of like other people as well. But if I start talking about more like lifestyle content from an entrepreneur standpoint, I'm not sure if they would be interested in that.
Yeah. So I think because the other person on the other side is a human, I think that they would be interested just to see how you're operating different things and learning and just building a relationship with you. Like even like you being a copywriter, like, and this is again, as a business owner, right? So I would subscribe to your newsletter. I find out that you're a copywriter and you're building your business and maybe you just had your first hire and you're sharing the ins and outs of that. And you're a mom of 3, like you said, like I'm probably going to be more bought in on who you are and wanting to support you and work with you than if you just seem like another copywriter that I know nothing about. Right. And so that is why it's so powerful to build a personal brand for yourself because people have a connection with you. I experienced this even from like renting an Airbnb. I built a closer relationship with one of the women that was talking to me about their house and like telling me how, her kids, they go on vacation. This is their summer house and, or a house that they have in Arizona versus another house that I loved. But I was like, you know what? No, this lady's just so nice. And I know if I need anything, like she got me. And so I ended up booking that house. And it's like, there's so much power in just building a relationship as a human. Now, if you share your content and like who you are as a human and that pushes someone away, thank God. Why the hell would you want to work with them anyway?
Right. Yeah. That makes so much sense. Yeah.
And so just remember that. And you will, for all of you guys, you'll be able to truly scale at a faster rate and have more opportunities if people know who you are as a human. I love that. Also, Ashley, you look so familiar. I'm like dying to know where I know you from. And like, you just got on camera. I was like, oh, I think I know her. we'll figure it out after. But what other questions do you guys have? Are you guys excited to build your personal brand? Is it something that you feel like, oh, I don't know? Because I do want to tell you, you guys already have one. I just want to make that very, very clear. Like, you guys already have a reputation. People know you for something. They are either not referring you to others because they don't know you well enough. Maybe they don't truly understand fully what it is that you're doing. Or they are referring you because they know you and they know how good you are or what you're doing. You've built that relationship. It's literally one of those two options. And so making sure that you're just like controlling the narrative around who you are and how you want people to remember you is really, really, really important. No, oh my God, Jasmine, I'm telling you, like, that is the beauty of it. I am telling you, I went from talking about being a fitness competitor, like I was showing my tilapia and asparagus, where now, like, if you follow me, I show buffalo tuna packets and like chips. And I'm like, this is my meal for today, you know, like I have evolved so much. When I first went out on my own, I actually made this huge announcement that I was going to be a lifestyle content creator. Okay. I did it for 1 month and I was like, F this. If one more person asks me about the lipstick I'm wearing or the shirt I'm wearing, I'm going to lose my mind. And it was really nerve-wracking for me to like have to reintroduce myself again because I'm like, actually, I changed my mind. I don't want to do this. And the worst thing I could have done is said to myself, like, oh no, like this is it. Like I can't talk about anything else, because then I would have quit. I would have gave up because I don't want to do that. And so the most amazing thing that you can do is just show the evolution. You're not starting from scratch. It's like you're literally evolving. And that's the beauty of it. That is like, and bring them along with you, because I promise you what you'll notice is when you say like, oof, I had a membership before and I ended up like changing the whole thing, and I had invested so much money into it and time. I had to like publicize that I was like, this didn't work out for me. The second I did that, I was flooded with messages from founders being like, girl, I tried to do a membership. It didn't work out for me. This is this. And like, it was so beautiful. It made me feel like, oh, all right, I'm not the only one. And so yes, it humanizes you. I like could not invite you to reinvent yourself and evolve and bring along people, because you're going to inspire people to do the same. I love it. It's Lindsay. Oh wait, you're muted.
Sorry. Yes, just regular Lindsay.
Lindsay.
I hope this isn't too personal, but I feel like the
It's like
conversation could help others. So I am a service-based business and I do consulting calls, and I had my first kind of like sassy consulting call last week. And I was trying to explain something to someone on my consulting call, and she wanted a different answer. And I was like, well, yada, yada, yada. And she's like, well, that's why I booked this consulting call with you, so I don't get into that situation. And I wanted to be like, I can guide you and help you and like put you into the like right place and give you information so like you can advocate for yourself and not get into that situation, but I don't have any control over like what actually happens.
You do parental leave?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the actual example? So like what was the actual problem?
She had a question about applying for parental leave, and I knew it didn't matter. Like what she was asking was so nuanced and so small. I knew it didn't matter, but she really wanted the answer. And I was like, well, just know that like if you accidentally do put something wrong, you'll be denied, but you can apply to appeal and it's not a big deal. Like you'll get your money. It won't be a big deal. And she was like, well, I paid for this consulting call, so I don't get denied.
You have control over that.
Yeah, exactly. But it like made me step back and think that like, what am I promising people? Like, what is the branding that I'm promising? Like, who am I who do they think I am as a person?
Yeah.
That is maybe misleading, but that's been like maybe 1 in 50 calls. So
Yeah. So I
I don't
actually
want to
love,
overthink it, but
no, yeah, I actually love to get feedback like this from my clients. Even like recently, I just got off right before this. I realized that my clients have been asking the same question over and over again for one specific thing. And I was like, oh, okay, how about I change this and like word it differently? And so even though this is the only one, I actually would like make some sort of like light tone messaging on your website of like, got denied question mark, which is like, I hate that I just said that, but like got denied question mark, like no big deal. Here's how to fix it. And so now you have like a solution for this problem if it happens, because guess what? It very much might happen. That's not up to you. Like you have no idea. And so like that I think for the future would be super, super beneficial. And I love that that was a takeaway of like, is it my messaging? And I wouldn't think too personal, but I would use it as like an opportunity to just add one, like, even if you have an FAQ on your website of like, what happens if this, don't worry. Like I have, or my team has a list of resources and steps for you to take. And you could very much put one PDF together that says got denied question mark, like 1, reapply, 2, do this. And it's just like, it could be really easy for you to just do, because sometimes from a consumer perspective or a client perspective, I think my consultant has to have all the answers. And like, that's just not a thing. That's just not realistic. But humans, like when we pay for something, we have this entitlement at times that we think like, now you owe me like my life. And that's just not a thing. And so to alleviate some of that, I actually would just put that on your website somewhere, or maybe in like an email, PDF, and send it and make it very like, oh my God, don't worry about it. Like if it happens, we'll cross that bridge and we have resources and we got your back, but it shouldn't happen.
I like all of that. Thank you so much. And
You're
Ashley, I
welcome.
see your note too. I would love them. Thank you.
I love that. Yeah, of course. I was just reading Ashley's message too.
Does anybody have any other questions? This is so good.
I know, I'm having so much fun. We can like talk about literally anything.
Do you guys have any business questions?
Yeah, any business related. I work with, I'm afraid of mixing messages. Yeah, that's super fair. You know what we can do? Actually, let me send you a template that I just sent my client.
There's another question. I know Deb has brought this up in the past, so this is maybe the perfect time to address it. I know you mentioned before that you don't want to involve yourself personally in your business because you don't want Hold to be about Deb, but you want Hold to be more about like the people. And what if you sell it eventually, and you know, how to kind of come from that. So can you address that?
Oh my God. Yes. I love that. So I became friends with Jacqueline Johnson, who owns Create and Cultivate. I don't know if you guys know Create and Cultivate, but it's a massive organization. And so she started this and everyone knew her for Jacqueline Johnson. Everybody knew Create and Cultivate for Jacqueline Johnson. And she actually talks about this on my podcast. And so she tried to sell her company in 2018, and the investors were like, or the buyers were like, honestly, this company depends too much on you. And so you need a C-suite, like you need people, you need to position them. And so you need to create the structure for the company to be able to sell. Cool. So she did that in 2 years, or 2018, in 3 years, she was able to sell it for $21 million. The one thing that she did not stop doing is still building her personal brand. And so she was able to do both at the same time. It was not this or that, it was this and that. She positioned and structured the business in a way that she could sell it and someone could redo every single thing that she needed to do or the business needed to do without her, without hiding her behind the brand. Because what ended up happening is, and this was so smart and so strategic when you think about it, she created her personal brand. So she was the go-to person to build, create, and cultivate. She was an investor, and she talked about being an investor. And she talked about how important it was for her to give women resources, knowledge, funding, all the things. So once she sold, she actually started a business called New Money Venture. Because of her personal brand, that allowed her the opportunity to create a whole other company that was focused on investing in women-owned businesses. And it just was like so beautiful to see the transition. She still had her podcast. She's speaking on stages. She has her own landing page. So Create and Cultivate has its own page. And then Jacqueline Johnson, I think it's like Jacqueline Johnson. And this is a Jacqueline Johnson, Jacqueline. The website's actually great. So it actually highlights, I'm going to drop it in here. She's an investor and she's a coach. She talks about her bio. She talks about the fundraising masterclass that she has. She talks about her coaching experience, Create and Cultivate. She talks about all of the things that she does as a human, as a personal brand. The worst thing that you can do is not build your personal brand because you want to sell your business. It is this and this, not this or this. So something to think about. Okay, let me send the copy. So what I like to do to avoid mixing messages, there are a handful of really important messages that you need from your business. Your tagline, something that's short and punchy. All the copywriters obviously know this, but the founder, right? Like who you are, making sure that you have a founder bio. About the brand, making sure that you're very clear about what your brand is. The brand story, this has like a beginning, middle, and end. This is like, we started in 2020, this is why we're here. This is a long story. Your mission, your core values, the problem that you solve and how you solve it, and your services. This should be the only thing that you operate off of. You keep using this messaging over and over and over and over again. That's the most important thing. When you're thinking about, and I can send you this, you guys, this template. When you are changing any of your messaging, just go back to this doc. And if you're going to change one thing, just make sure it's consistent across all of the pillars, essentially, in your categories. That'll help you guys stay consistent with your messaging. And your mission too. Oh, and the Notion link. Yeah, girl, got you. Share. Guys, what a productive call.
Do you mind if I ask a quick question, Mariana? This was so helpful. So for me, yeah, this was beautiful. And by the way, I'm Palestinian, born and raised here, but when you said you were from Egypt, I love that. Yeah. My question is, because my customers, my clients are both B2B as well as B2C. Cool. And how best to manage that, because that is there are differences.
Yeah. Can you remind me what your company is? What do you do?
Yeah, it's named after me, Jemana Inc. And I'm a business transformation specialist. So what I do is I use energetics to help the business leaders align with the consciousness of their business. Okay. Every business has a blueprint, and the goal usually is, for most businesses, is to serve with integrity. So aligning that with the gifts that the business leaders have, that just tends to open up new pathways, new markets, and you're able to know what niche to focus and bring in the money, if you will.
Yeah. So, okay, you're B2B. Who is the business? Like, give me an example.
In general, I mean, it's pretty flexible. Any business owners, any entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, founders, whatever.
And then B2C, what would that be?
I mean, that's because I've only been doing this for a couple months now, but the goal is any industries who want to go back to their mission. A lot of corporations have shifted and are operating more out of competition versus that service and integrity. So the goal really is to focus on corporations who know that and want to shift back.
Yeah, but so it sounds like the business and the consumer are the same person, or that could be the same people, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So and your question is, you have two different people that you're talking to. Mm-hmm. How do you clarify that?
Yeah, I mean, or like even focused, quote unquote, marketing, right? Like how do you keep that consistent, because they are two different streams, right?
Yeah. So from a visual perspective, I actually just sent this a couple of days ago to my friend. Let me show it to you. It was a website that I stumbled on, and I really loved how she had it. And okay, so you go on her website and you have options depending on who you are and like what track essentially you're going to go down. And so from a marketing perspective, I think you're teaching the same thing. You're just teaching it to different people, right? Your mission is the same. Your content is the same. It's just different people would buy different things, and maybe the package would look differently from a pricing perspective. So I think from marketing, I don't actually think it's complicated at all. I think that it's amazing that you're able to teach the same exact thing to two different types of people. And so from a visual perspective, digital marketing, I just love this experience of like, choose your track, or like, who are you, pick which one. And my friend Lisette Calvero has a really good one. And it's the same thing. You go on here and it's essentially like, for the brands, for the influencer, because she works with the brands, she works with the influencer, and then you can shop. So having these two options and then bringing people to different tracks will be really, really good.
And I do have that on my website.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So I just didn't know if from coming off on a like IG or LinkedIn standpoint, but that's a good reminder that it is really the same message. It's just different audiences.
Yeah, same message, different audiences. And even it would be cool to maybe in your buckets have one bucket that's just for the consumer, one bucket just for the business, and talk about like, it could be like every other day or every 2 days, you're talking about something that's really relevant to like an individual. And then, yep, I can share the link. And then right here. And then, yeah, so talking about, and I do this actually with personal branding. So I work with the individuals, right? So like you would hire me to help you build your personal brand, but then the company, a corporation, can hire me to help with their employees. And so it is the same concept of like a B2B or B2C. And so I'm teaching the same exact thing. There are times that I'm like, hey, this is why it's really important for a corporation to do this. And there's other times of like, hey, solopreneur employee, like do this. And so, yeah, I think just adding those couple of words in every other post just to make sure it's targeted to one person. I don't think it'll confuse because you're teaching the same thing.
Awesome.
So I did sort of like a shortcut because I have 3 different, people that I work with. So female entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and creative agencies. And I have those 3 buttons on my site, but they all link to the same thing because I do the same thing for all 3.
Yeah. Wait, I just want to go back to your website.
That was just me being lazy, but I mean, essentially it's because literally I do the same thing for all of those different.
Yeah, and I don't think that's, I think that's actually very smart of just like, it's the same services, but it's because humans, us, we're like, oh, this is not me. This, you know what I mean? Like, this is me. So I'm actually going to only focus on this. And so, I think that's actually very, very smart that you did that. Yeah, that's great.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course. That's probably what I should do. I sometimes overcomplicate it.
Well, I think it also depends on the size, right? Like, I mean, I know for me, a corporate proposal is going to be very different than an entrepreneur in terms of the package. And so it's just a matter of, I think, depending on if it's the exact same thing, then I think it makes sense. But if there are differences, then it probably makes sense to have 2 separate tracks,
Yeah, absolutely. Because I do that too as well. Because like my one-on-ones are the same, but my one-on-one for a corporation versus like a solopreneur is going to be different. But at least I can still say one-on-one. But yeah, I love that. I think I may need something like a choose your adventure. Yeah, I think it's great. Just making it more personable for the people that are clicking, just so they know. And this is what I was talking about, speaking to that one person. If we try to speak to everybody, nobody's going to click, right? Like nobody's going to like hear us out. And so getting really clear on who you're speaking to is going to be really important. I love this.
Awesome. Marina has a hard stop in 3 minutes. So thank you so much. This was awesome. Thank you for everybody that engaged and asked questions. I know I got more info from like the questions that were asked, which always happens. So
Totally.
thank you. I'm glad everyone's feeling better. Robin was also sick for like weeks, but
Oh my God. Yeah. I hope nobody gets sick, and keep me updated on your homework, anything that you guys need, any questions that come up, after this call, after you guys sit down, maybe doing some brain dump. If you guys hit a wall or struggle, definitely just send me a DM on my Instagram, and I am happy to connect with you guys. Thank you for having me. This was awesome.
Yay. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Yeah,
you.
of course. Bye, guys.
Bye.